Hi, David.
Hello, Greg.
How are you today?
Good.
Well,
Real good.
it's our Patreon live stream.
Patreon live stream. So if you're a
And
Patreon, check the Discord. You know what I'm saying?
or go to patreon.com/3D make it and look at your notifications.
I mean, that
and
works
then you
too.
can and then you can join us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
Should
the
we do
joining,
should,
half the
should
fun.
should we do the thing before we bring in our guest?
Yeah, why not do the thing?
All right. We want to thank these wonderful people. These are our Patreons, Helge at the top, and everyone else on the list. Thank you so much for being part of our community, and that's what today's about, is bringing you guys in and having a direct chat online with you and seeing what's up and new and cool and all that. So patreon.com/3D make it. And for everything else you want to know about us, it's www.3dmakeit.ca.
Not sure what else they would need to know.
Well,
Like
yeah, you know.
like your
Well,
favorite color. Do you
maybe.
enjoy long walks on a beach?
Okay, that's a
Is that
different site.
is that is that too? We know some folks that are on those sites.
Well, we do have one of our Patreons here, and hopefully one more coming in, maybe a little later. But here's Dominic. Hey, Dominic, how you doing?
Hi, folks. Um, I'm doing okay, I guess, as well
Like,
as can be expected, as my
Yeah.
doctor
yeah.
says.
Mm.
Well, you're still alive and kicking, so that's important.
I wasn't sure that was going to happen this morning, with all the craziness in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I heard the news and rolled over. I was like, nope. I
You'll
I,
be up all night. I was up a good portion of the night because
Yeah, yeah.
it's crazy.
I don't know this ain't gonna end well.
Well, we hope that Raymond's going to join us a little later too, but
Yeah.
in the meantime, there is a couple news things, and I thought we could talk about it. I will just bring up my
You thought
reality.
wrong. Oh yeah, we
They
could talk about this.
they
Yeah.
finally actually dropped it. It's the we talked about the rumors and whatnot, but there was an official announcement. They had their 10-year anniversary, hosted by
That
the
guy.
real, what's his name, real
I don't know. He's kind of
Prentice
like
something. Anyway, he does all the robots and stuff.
Sam, Sam,
Sam Prentice,
Sam
yes.
Prentice.
Yes, the real Sam Prentice. So he hosted their anniversary stream and whatnot,
in a
and
tuxedo nonetheless.
yeah, and then he also did
What's
afterwards
going on,
on
friends?
his
Sam Prentice
channel.
back once.
Oh,
Sorry
well,
about
that
that.
was him talking.
That's
Um,
him. It's his video.
uh, he after the stream he had an exclusive look at the, I guess it's the uh, beta version or release candidate version of the new K2 Plus with their CMS. Um, I love how everyone's just got to come up for a new name for the AMS because they can't copy AMS, right? So,
I mean, they could.
but but it's kind of neat. So that the CMS has a little LCD on it which shows you the temperature of the in the filament holder and the humidity in there too, which is kind of neat. It's kind of like they have their little filament dryer slash thing that does the same thing, that you can store your filament in and it runs
I think
out.
this one's a little different though, because
Oh, this
their
one's a lot
filament
different.
dryer actually is active heated,
Oh yeah,
and
no,
this
but I'm
isn't.
just saying the screen is kind of the same. Like
Oh,
it
okay.
shows you some feedback on actually how dry it is in the box, kind of the dry box.
That's easy. In
Yeah,
Alberta, it's just always dry.
yeah, pretty much.
Always. We are
Yeah.
a dry
So
box.
and it's kind of neat, and all the rumor stuff is basically came to fruition. It's 350 by 350 by 350. It's got a 4-color AMS, but they can do up to 16 colors. Ooh. Whereas
Wow.
bamboo can only do up to 12 colors.
Oh.
So there you go. So they
Um,
had to one up them with one more CMS.
but did you guys see the most important feature of all in this new version of the
Of this
K2?
printer.
Yeah.
What? No. What's the
The
most
door
important?
doesn't break anymore. They
Oh,
fixed the glass
I heard they made it shatter resistant.
after it exploded on Jesse's stream.
Yeah, that
They were like,
I love
"Oh,
how they kept everyone kept showing that clip of him and his like shocked look on his face.
he's
And,
like crap." They're pretty sure this is.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
So that I just thought we would mention because we talked about it briefly last week, but now it's officially out. They also released a 14K Hallet.
Nice, more
So
resolution.
yeah, so way more resolution on their resin printer, and it's quite large too.
Yeah,
Um, what else did they do? They had the Ender 3 Plus, which is the a Core XZ
yeah.
3D printer. Um,
They
yeah,
had announced that one a bit before, but
yeah, yeah. Well, I
How,
think it
how
was that.
does the
Go ahead, Dominic.
how does the K2 different from the K1?
So, I think they took everything from the K1C, which is the latest version of it, all the things they learnt from it, and they scaled it up so it's bigger, and then they added the KMS or the CMS features. So yeah, I think it's very similar. They moved the screen up to the top so that you don't have this weird cutout in the door. So it's the door is just a full piece of one sheet of glass. It's not some weird shape.
mhm.
Um, Other than that, until it's actually physically out and someone has it in their hot little hands, we don't know.
Well, I
I
mean, there's
think
lots
they're,
of maybe it's in there, but
yeah,
reality.
yeah. So as far as we know, they may have changed the extruder head, so print head. So it's slightly different
Yeah,
than the
they
previous one.
upgraded the filament cutter, so that's better now. Um,
Did the other one even have a filament cutter? This one I think does because it has the CMS, but did
well,
the
like
other one even
the
have?
K1 Max did.
It did, eh?
But this the K2 also is supposed to have. Let's just say I said supposed to have before all of these things, and I only have to say it once. Um, it's supposed to be actively heated in the chamber.
Yeah,
Um,
more filters and carbon
it's
filters and HEPA
roughly
and
the
all that.
same size as the K1 Max. Um, so like it's the big brother. That's one thing everybody
Raymond says the
wasn't.
K1 Max does not have a cutter. I think the cutter is what's new
Yeah,
because of the CMS, right? Because you basically want to cut it so that when you pull it back, you have a clean pull and you're not getting any melted material,
and it
and
looks like they
that's
added like closed loop stepper drivers was another
yeah.
newer
That'll be
thing.
interesting.
And then again, overall more beefy because apparently that was a common thread.
They
People
made
were
I think
worried.
the height was a problem. A lot of the new ones they had to put a cover that went up and down, so because it wasn't tall enough to meet the cable tray and stuff. So
We need
yeah,
to send another hold on. Copy link.
but
Boom.
he couldn't get in.
No, I sent it again.
Okay,
I think it's the same link. I don't might be
yeah, that was the
it's,
same link. That's
no, it's
there.
different. It has a different join code on
Nine
it.
W
Don't say out loud, everybody join.
9W
No, stop.
something X X
Too
X X
too late.
X.
No, I'm just kidding.
I
There's a
was just
kit.
wondering with the K2 if that means you can get a good deal on a K1 and just put a
Huh.
chameleon on it.
I mean,
Oh, you probably could.
That's the thing. Like,
Raymond
Does the
joined.
does
it
the
wants a fine printer.
does the chameleon? Hey Ray,
Hey.
does the chameleon work with Clipper? I don't know. Does anyone know? Does
The
it only
chameleon
work with
absolutely works with the
it works
chameleon.
with
Doesn't care what your board is, what your
but the
board
so
is.
with Clipper has slightly different G code.
Yeah, but
So
the G code
something
getting sent to the
because you said it uses G code to
it does, but it
issue
can
its
send any
command.
G code to
Yeah.
that unit, right?
Okay.
It's not
But
hold
you
on.
just go to the app and you put in your parameters, including that you're running Clipper, and it'll give you your G code.
Okay.
And then
You don't have to figure out your own G code for the.
Okay. That's
the-
good.
it actually lists the Bamboo X1, P1, and Creality K1 series is compatible on their website.
Oh, there you go.
So
So they're keeping on top of things.
yep.
Oh, and allegedly, you can have any number of colors on the chameleon. You just
So
daisy chain your.
so Ray,
Chameleons.
are those K series printers behind you?
They are, yep.
What do you got behind you?
There's a K1 and then a K1 Max and then a Bamboo at the end. And there's an Ender in the middle there somewhere.
Nice. And
Yeah,
how are the K series working? Like you're a good person to ask, like in relation to Bamboo and whatnot. Like they're obviously different styles of printers. They're both Core XY, but with different brands. Like, what is your thoughts in comparison between the three printers there?
Really, the only difference that I find is color. You can print color in the Bamboo. The results from all three printers are the same. At the shop, I had to print some. I printed some rock Maui heads on each of the machines, done with the stock settings with their slicers, and you can't tell the difference.
Nice.
As a matter of fact, most people grab the K1 Max and say this is the Bamboo one until they flip it over and no, it's not.
Surprise.
Yeah.
So that's good. So, and they print all the materials like just as well, ABS versus any of the others.
Yeah, the K1C that we have at the shop that's in the store, I print Prusa parts on that all the time in ABS
Nice.
while there's customers there. So there's no smell from the ABS, nothing like that.
Right.
That's good.
Nice.
That's real good, actually.
So, David, are you leaning to David's deciding on what printer to get for work, I think. And so
Oh, the Peak one.
Yep.
is that the one that you've decided on?
Well, it's up there. I just, like when you so like it's a create bot. I think it's called like the 60 Peak, maybe. I forget what the
F160, I think.
yeah F160. Yeah, it looks real good, and people say it's great. It's yeah.
Have you printed with that one, Ray?
We have a crate bot Peak printer there, but I can't remember what number it is.
And
Derek prints with it all the time.
And what slicers do you use with it, or?
I think it's got its own slicer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's very close
works
source,
pretty
that
good.
So far, it's been working really well. We've had it there probably a couple of years now, and we use it just to print customers' prints with. But that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's when that thing's on, it's hot. You can feel the heat radiating around that thing.
It's an oven, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We keep filament in the bottom of it all the time to dry it out.
That's a good idea, actually. It's like because it's controlled, right? It's PID controlled, so it's not like putting it.
I
in
think
your
it was
oven.
Nero that. I think it was Nero that showed that on his high temp printer that he prints Peak on, he cooked a steak on the bed.
Well,
I mean, that's
it came out pretty well.
hey, that's great.
I don't know. I
love
like my medium rare.
that. Well, we could finish it off with the heat gun.
Yeah, there you go.
Just sear the outside.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to be eating some peak residue
Yeah,
on
Don't
my
think you
steak.
would.
exactly.
Like and like
He used the bare metal. He used the bare metal side of his plate. So,
so it was food grade at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Or you bring in like a little cooking pan and set it on there to heat it up.
Yeah. Right.
Some sort of cast thing and preheat it so that it absorbs all the heat.
But the only problem with that is when you get any type of printer that's got an enclosure in it and you print specific stuff in there, like peak ABS, you
Yeah.
open that door and you can smell the fumes of
Oh, yeah.
ABS or the peak in there
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah,
I've had a
well,
couple printers that I've had in for repair recently, and I can tell that's all they do is print ABS in it.
Yeah.
Would here's so like I've been fixing the one that I've printed with ABS. Um but yeah, like that smell, it sure lingers, even if it's like, even I imagine you could say the same about a K1 or a bamboo. If all you printed was ABS, eventually that smell would
Well,
permeate.
when I going through all the maintenance guides and stuff for the bamboo, they say after so many hours you have to, clean off the rods and whatnot because the residue does build up on the sides and whatnot. So yeah, you're gonna get that smell if you print a lot. Like I mean, I printed a bunch of ABS on the bamboo, and
Mm-hmm.
man, it prints it nice. Yeah.
I've never used ABS. Is the odor that you get from it the same one that you get from injection molding?
It depends on the part, because they use sometimes it is ABS that's been injection molded, but sometimes it's a ether ketone or something that they're injecting too.
Oh,
But yeah, in general, you could say the
Yeah, it's
smell would be roughly
bad
the
off
same.
gassing.
Um, Styrene is definitely present because, well, that's how ABS and ASA work, right?
Yeah.
But there are lots of filaments out there that are way worse. I forget. I'm trying to remember the chemical name of it. But if you print it too hot, it just off gases formaldehyde, which is great for your ability to live.
Fair
But
enough.
but ABS, it's around because of when printers first 3D printing first was present. It was easy to print, still is easy to print in comparison to some other filaments, right? But if you're in an apartment or a small room that has no venting,
Yeah, you don't want to.
Actually, that depends on the printer you have. A lot of them have
Mhm.
good filtration system now, right?
Yeah.
I
Good
print
job.
ABS. I print ABS in this room all the time, usually with the window closed. And
Mhm.
I open the door and I generally don't smell anything.
I
There's-
with this one, I was getting just a slight smell, even though it has the carbon filter and the HEPA filter and everything. But I was also printing like, continuously for like to get all the Trident parts done. So
Mhm. I think so I was doing a lot of printing in my house to do some like board game inserts and stuff, and my printers are close-ish to the furnace, not like sitting in there, but close. And I have like an air quality thing on my Ecobee, the new one that I bought. And in about an hour and a half, it started warning me that the air quality was going down, that I should open windows because there was like VOCs and all of that stuff. And then as soon as I finished printing, and an hour later, all the warnings went away. Which to me is one of two things. One, they don't know how to calibrate their air sensor because it was PLA. and there shouldn't be any
Yeah.
VOCs in PLA. Like chemically speaking, it's impossible.
Um, there are
But-
certain kinds of cheese. There are certain kinds of cheese that could mask the ABS smell. I'm sure.
It's true. Or some
Got
like
some good head cheese out there.
Yeah.
real aged Wagyu steak that's like $3,500 a pound. That'll do it.
There's a couple different kinds of cheese that it's illegal to open a container of it on public transportation.
Mm,
So one of those would probably work.
I mean, just crack a good Gouda, you're good.
There you go.
So is there any other news or stuff that you've seen that's coming out? Or Ray, have you guys got anything cool in that's new and cool? That
Well, we have stuff come in all the time. Whether it's new or cool or not is a different story. I mean, lots of new big tree tech stuff in, EBB boards, just miscellaneous stuff like that. Nothing really new that they just, I find that they just try and reinvent the wheel a little bit more.
Yeah.
Hey Gary, how you doing?
Have you seen that Sovol printer that's touted as being a Voron clone for $600?
I
Is
did.
that
I
the
forget the model number.
Sovol 8 or whatever?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Was it the 8?
Yeah.
That's VO.
Yeah,
I think
remember what
I
the
think
model
it's
is.
the 8. I know Nero did a assembly of one, and he found
Yeah, it's the 8.
some issues with sharp edges around cables and a few things that he thought like they should have some sort of protection, and I think he printed one thing, and then he had the bearing was already twisting, pulling out of where they had his Core XY gantry. The one axis had the bearing pulled over. So yeah, so he's like, yeah, it's I don't know if it was just a bad one that they sent me, but everything's injected molded. It's not 3D printed and whatnot, like the XY gantry pieces and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting.
Is that a Core XY or a bed
Yeah,
slinger?
It's a Core XY.
It's the Silva
It-
SVO8.
It's like
it's essentially
a K or the
it's essentially a mimic of the Voron. It's built just like the Voron with the flying gantry.
the two
uh,
Voron 2.4 or whatever.
2.4?
Yeah,
I sure hope they're
basically a
joking
clone of that.
on this price, but
It was $7.99 US.
there's the
Oh, that's it. Separate.
there's the thing right there.
Huh.
I don't
the price
I don't see
on
what's the price?
the price on their website is $9,999.
Oh yeah, but it's not released to
Oh,
public yet.
that's because it's not released yet.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I was like.
Yeah,
Here,
yeah.
let's big boop. Oh no, bigger. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, like
it's very Voron-ish.
it's Voron-esque, and it has like, it's pretty big. It's like 350 by 350 by 345 or something like that. It's square. For 40,000 millimeters
I think
per
you're-
second squared. Yeah, right. It might do it, but it'll never.
It was probably done by the same people that did the price.
Yeah. Boom, roasted. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I'll say that much. It looks neat. But I mean,
Well, what
I
else
think
did he
it's
say?
like
He
a
said that
Voron
you
for-
can't move the
Mhm.
you can't move the spool holder. It only
Oh,
goes in
really?
one place.
That's just it. It's right there.
Really?
Well, I guess if it's all molded.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pre-drilled.
It'll be interesting. I've heard mixed reviews on it so far, but it's not released yet. So until it's actually released and we get
Yeah.
actual pricing, we can reserve some judgment until it ships.
I always say
Well,
judge
and
early and
if
judge
it's
often.
half the price of a Voron, I mean,
Yeah, but if
and
it
you don't
only
have
works
to put
half as well,
Well, you're still ahead of
no,
the game.
apparently
You-
it prints well. It prints well. There are some issues around the build that need to be
but
addressed, and
so does the
it's not
K1.
released yet.
Yeah.
But it's not a release candidate. It's just
yeah, they're
Yeah.
threw it out
just
for the
launching
door.
it.
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
K1 going for now? Like, there's a K1. I think the K1C is the kind of the newest of
The
the
newest, yeah.
K1s series. And it just has refinements, really, right?
Like
No, it's
different
quite a
carbon
bit.
Whoa.
There's a whole new entire hot end in it. They call it
Oh.
the unicorn hot end. So it's very much like the Prusa MK4 hot end,
Where
where
you can pull out the nozzle.
yeah, and it's all one big long piece. So they've done that for sure. They've added a camera. They added filtration system to it. The bed is a little bit different.
Mm.
Um,
But it
oh,
doesn't have
the
heated.
door's
chambers.
different. No, you don't. Honestly, you don't need a heated chamber. I find
Yeah.
if I run ABS in there, that thing will hit 32 degrees easy.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all.
So there's quite a few changes from the K1. But my K1, for instance, I have all those changes all done to mine anyways. So it didn't really matter.
Yeah, you update or upgraded it as you were going.
Yeah, exactly.
So what kind of changes like can you do to your K1? Like you change nozzles, or how does that, or print head, or what? How does that work?
You can. Microswiss has a new print head that you can purchase. That'll pop right in there. I can't remember the name of it offhand, but it's very much like the unicorn. It's a little bit different, obviously.
Mhm.
So I don't have that in mind at the moment because I have a stock hot end in mind and it just prints, so I just leave it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's the best
Yeah.
way to do it. If it
So what
works,
kind of
it works.
upgrades did you do to yours?
I put I put a camera in there because there was no camera.
Mhm.
I put a filtration system in the back, HEPA filter and charcoal that I
Nice.
designed that snaps on the back. With that, I also got my spool holder on the side. They're just miscellaneous little
Yeah,
things like that.
why they put stuff on the back is beyond me. It should always be on the side or be able to be above or something, depending on how you're configured.
Well, for us, we have 6 of them in our print farm right now, and it's good that the spool holder's behind for
Oh.
us as opposed to the side because what we have is we have shelves from Uline, and we have 2 rows of shelves, and there's a space in between so you can get behind them.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, but most people don't have that. So I
Well,
could see
if you're running a print farm,
print
you do.
farm,
Yeah.
a print farm situation. I could totally see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
like if
for
it's one
home
up
use,
thing on a desk,
when you have
yeah.
limited space, it's not as convenient to have it on the back.
Yeah, my K1 actually feeds from the top. You can see there's a shelf there above my printers.
Yep.
Well, the K1 is the first one closest to me, and my filament feeds from the top straight in because I have a different type of extruder in there. I have my filament runout sensors actually built right into the extruder instead of being separate.
Okay.
It was just a mod that somebody had, and I went, oh, that looks kind of cool. And I just threw it in there and kept it in there.
Nice.
Works really well.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah.
Somebody I know uses a bamboo to print multi-material prints all the time, a lot. He prints a lot, and he was saying that he's found a problem where the PTFE tube inside the AMS wears out.
100% agree
So
on
he's
that.
replace it.
Well, they ship with replacement PTFE tubes for the AMS. So that's maintenance for all the
I think-
changes.
On any printer you have, the PTFE tube is consumable.
Yeah.
Eventually, it might take a long time, but eventually they all degrade to the point where you're like, okay, I gotta like I actually had to cut off about an inch off of one on my CR10 because it had
A little too
worn
much
enough
movement.
through that collar, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it was just sliding through.
And you get some movement, and then you just
Yeah.
trim it and push it back in, and then it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I do not have, nor have I used the bamboo printer, but that statement where it's wearing out makes a whole lot of sense.
Well, if you're doing a lot of AMS changes of filament, and I mean, it's a lot. Like, there's a lot of changes when you have a like just those dragons I did.
Yeah,
There was a lot of color changes,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
So it's constantly pulling it all the way back through, and then all the way through, and then all the way.
Mhm.
So there's friction. It may be PTFE, but there's frictions against it. It's just less, but part of the less is the PTFE rubs off on the filament, right?
Yeah.
As it goes, and it's just kind of wears. So I could see it eventually wearing and having to do the replacement for sure.
So like on the bamboo, because 2 people now have used it in here, but how fast is the change? Like, can you just disengage the AMS and put filament straight in while like it's sitting on top, or do you have to like actually physically move the AMS out of the way to print single color, or do you just use the AMS in like one channel of it basically?
You can do either, because it there is a selection when the slicing to choose either a color of AMS, or you can choose to use the manual. I guess the
Yeah,
non-
the single roll.
right, the single,
Yeah.
and then you go off of your mount.
Yeah.
And
Don't you have to turn the printer around?
Well, it
Don't you have
depends
to
where
get at the back
you
of the printer?
you have to reach
Um,
around to just connect the coupler. But
Hold on, I don't have that soundbite queued, but you're lucky. So when you're printing on the bamboo, then you can use it in any mode. And like I know that in the live, like so we've seen Creality release theirs now. We've also seen, like last week we had talked about the Anycubic version of the MS. There's the Enraged Rabbit,
yeah,
the MMU,
the chameleon.
Chameleon, and most of them. So like, I know somebody did make it so the AMS works on like a Ender printer. I have not done it myself, but I know that people have done it. And I think you can buy the AMS separate now, perhaps. But
You
like,
always could.
You could always buy an extra AMS.
yeah, so like on its own, how much would the AMS cost? Let's
go to the bamboo site and have a look.
I think it's
Sometime.
$500, $449 or something like that.
Sounds about right. There's no price on the CMS yet.
I don't expect that to be out for another month or so yet.
Yeah, like, well, it's like any other launch, right? Hey, you want this right now, but we're not going to make it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm okay with that. I'm just trying to see what the cost of the
An AMS is $449 Canadian, and then the AMS Hub, which allows up to 4 AMSs. Is that right, Ray?
Yeah.
Is $64.99, and so yeah.
So about 500 Canadian for, so that's not bad. The other,
But the AMS Hub,
yeah,
that is if only if you want to go beyond the single AMS, right? That you would buy
Right.
that
Yeah.
because the bamboo has, just basically it's got a little filament buffer piece in it when it's
Mhm.
going through there and doing the switch.
looks. I'm trying to find the cost on the MMU, and it looks like it's like 300-ish American. So that puts it up into like the 400 Canadian. Um, and then the other one that we were looking at was the so like
The,
we
the
really
Raged Rabbit you have to print, and there's like
yeah.
I guess
You
a
can
kit,
buy
a
the outright
kit,
kit.
a kit for the hardware, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Well, like Triangle Lab, I think, is one of the ones that actually sells the kit. So if you, it's like $130.
Yeah, I
And then you
haven't heard
get the
any.
parts.
I hadn't seen anyone that had figured out the pinout and communication for to run the AMS. That's cool that you said that someone has figured it out.
Yeah, like I saw a video of it, and like I said, I can't remember who it was, but
I saw the
um,
same video.
yeah, like it
Yeah.
was pretty big. It was blowing up. The the other one that we were talking about would be the Chameleon, and that one's like under 200 American. It's about
Right.
300 Canadian once you add in the international shipping. But um, I think that it would be an interesting industry focus to maybe give some love to the hobbyists who own, or even like the Creality one. If you could slap on the Creality CMS on top of a K1, like right, like give some love to those printers that are out there, so people
Yeah. Well, and
can spend $500 and buy your thing,
the
and you still
AMS
make
doesn't
money.
have to go on top, right? You can put it anywhere you want. It doesn't have to be on top. If you want
Yeah, it's just like
access to the lid on top and whatnot, you can put it to the side. There's enough.
it's
If you
just
look
like
at
filament
if you look
channel.
at where mine is, you'll see my two stacked on top of each other,
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you
right
you
by the
have
corner window. Yeah.
you can
yeah.
do 8 colors, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, your wife does a lot of multicolor prints and whatnot.
She does. Yeah. I don't have anything handy
Do
to
you,
show
do you have
you.
the chute that comes around the sides for the poop chute?
No, it's in behind.
Yeah.
We have enough room.
I actually had
Yeah.
a point where it was changing that it kind of stacked up and then it's like paused. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
problem detected. I got to say, every time it detected an issue, it recovered 100% from it.
Yeah.
I didn't have a failed print due to that. It was just,
Mhm.
oh, okay, knock the stuff out of the way, clear the chute, and resume, and away it went. I had one filament run out, and I had to do a filament change because it snapped. The filament, actually, the white filament, I was using some really cheap stuff. It was just something I got with a printer a long time ago, and I thought I'd throw it in there. It was white, and I think it was like, I don't even remember the brand, but it was brittle, so it broke in the tube. So I had to go, and it parked the head. I had to, pull the cover off, pull out the filament, put the PTFE tube back in, put the head back on, and then refeed it. Continued off right where it left off, no problem. Like it's their recovery and the way they sense the stuff so far from my experience has been excellent. Like they and then they throw up a QR code on the possible resolutions. Here's your options to fix it
Mhm.
and whatnot. And it was the experience has been really positive. Anyway,
I mean, for the and it's not an expense. Like the one you have is expensive.
well, yeah,
Put it
because
out.
it's
But
the
like
commercial
the
ish
other
heated
ones,
chamber.
like 1400 or something to get into it with the
Yeah,
AMS.
and honestly, for a home user, the regular bamboo, even probably, what's the P1? Is it the P1S,
P1S. Yeah.
which still has the enclosure, right?
Yeah.
The P is the one where it's like they stripped all the panels off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the P1S probably like it has a smaller screen and whatnot, and I don't think it has the LiDAR, right? It's missing the LiDAR, I
Right.
think. But other than that, I think that would be a really solid little printer. I'm not sure how big of a difference the LiDAR makes, but man, first layers on this thing are just amazing.
For now.
Like,
Print a couple thousand hours on it and see how it's doing.
yeah, true. True enough.
Did they ever start shipping the A1 again? After
I
the
think
recall?
it's right away here. They
Yeah.
were busy printing or getting all parts out to people first.
Because I keep looking at it now and again and wondering if it's ever back in stock, and their website never shows stock of it. And
Well, and then that other the AMS Mini or whatever it is, it's like the little stand with the
Weird
filament
thing.
on it. That's
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting to break it out that way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Pierre
kind of like
says
the light
he put
AMS.
Pierre says he puts his AMS on top for space reasons, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
It's a big box, so you might as well put something on top of it, you know.
We leave the top off of ours all the time. So that's why there's
Mm.
nothing on top.
That's fair. If you put it on top, it would fall through.
Your wife's mostly printing PLA though, right?
Mostly PLA. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're printing ABS, you'd probably put the top back on just to keep
Exactly.
the chamber warm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually only had one piece warp, and that's because it printed in I wasn't paying attention, and it printed in an area I didn't have glue stick. So that's the only time I had some warpage. Everything else was just rock solid. So
The K1C the other day at the shop, I was printing some Prusa parts in it. Forgot to put the top on it. And I know the Prusa parts took about 2.5 hours because I do a full plate of them. So I go back there in about 2 hour mark. I forgot to put the top on. So I left the top off, got the prints out of there, and they came out perfect. I couldn't believe it.
well, that's good. That's
yeah,
good.
I got lucky.
It's a happy little accident, as Bob Ross would say.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, sometimes the technology amazes you at what it can do, and then other times you want to take the printer and throw it against a wall
Yeah.
and never do it again.
Well,
right?
David has we should talk about this. David has finally clipperized a couple of his printers, and we were going back and forth with a few things. We found a bug actually. Do you want to talk about the bug?
So there is a bug, and it has to do with if you're using a BL Touch for safe homing, and
Probably any probe.
yeah, it would be, because it's actually in the safe. It's not in the probe; it's in the safe homing. You set the pin out for the probing, and then if you set the speed of your homing, so like I set in the safe homing section, told it to do it at like 70, but I did not erase the setting in the Z stepper section that had a homing speed set as well, and it was set at like 75. If you have both set, it doesn't know how to process it, and your stepper drivers just grind and shake without actually moving the printer down.
Which is funny, because typically what I've found is if you have something that shouldn't be in a certain area,
The sanity check goes,
it does a really good sanity check and says, "Hey, you should change this," right? And it's pretty good at that. But this is maybe one that they didn't know about or don't know about. So I guess we should probably find a way of submitting a bug report on that one.
And like, it's something that like literally you'd never think of. Like, I think one issue on that printer that I had was the rotational distance was wrong, and that was just stupid on me. But like the bug was weird, and if you wouldn't have thought to look at like that particular setting, you would think this is the worst thing ever and have Marlin back on your printer.
Well, and basically I had David send me his printer config, and I was comparing it to mine because they're similar printers, going through it and whatnot. And then I was like, these are the only differences I see. and he's like, yeah, okay. So we commented it out, and voila.
Now there is another thing that um is worth mentioning. Since like I mean, Clipper's a pretty robust firmware right now, and it's built off of plain English language. But the problem with plain English language is sometimes things can mean like four things, right? Um, and there's a setting too in your mesh area that's called oh, I better actually look at it. But it's along the lines of like horizontal Z movement. Let me just open my printer config here. But you couldn't do it in Marlin, by the way. I'd have to like download a zip and what's it called? Horizontal move Z is the actual setting in the bed mesh. And one thing that Greg and I were like troubleshooting was once mine would safe home, it would move right down almost to zero, move over like to the first home point and deploy the probe, and the probe was just deploying against the bed. So it'd fail because it couldn't actually send out a full deploy. And it's actually that setting, the horizontal um Z movement in the mesh area of your printer settings that was doing it. It's the setting that actually tells it to like lift up a bit before it continues to probe. So like once I set that to like instead of originally the setting was 5, so like the BL touch probe can when it deploys, it actually adds probably up to 8 millimeters, depending on how where your probe is and how high you set the deployment on the tip. So um the it was annoying because you'd go to mesh, and if you guys know have used or know Clipper, you know that everything like has to be measured correctly for meshing to work, and having the pin just like dive and then go click, I'm not deployed, and then it just quits.
Yeah.
So there's like no like just miss a point and keep going. It's if it misses a point, it misses everything and it just stops.
Yeah. I
And in all fairness, Marlin does that too, except
yeah.
instead of that, it gives you that generic, there's been an error 99999. So you don't actually know what failed, right? So Clipper's
Yeah.
more robust that way.
There was other tweaking you had issues with, like the Z was set to 40 and it should have been 8, and that was a interesting one because it was moving more than it should.
Yeah.
The one that I had an issue with was my probing. It would go to probe, and then it would error out because it was trying to go into the negative, and I didn't have it set so that the Z was allowed to go negative in my Z section of my printer config. So now I have it set to like -2. It can go, or -1.5 or whatever. So now and then it probes fine because there's it needs to be able to compensate for the contour of a dip in the bed, right? So if you have a high point on your bed and it's set to that, if it can't go to the negative, then you're no good.
So like my one beef with this is if you're at your dashboard and you have all your lovely settings, if you click on this, which way's front? What's the
Zero
front
zero
of the bed?
zero zero.
Okay. So here's 0.
Yeah.
There's 0. So like you're saying this is front? Like right here?
Yeah, 00. That's the front corner. Yeah.
So Greg's right. Put it that way. But
That's
like
how you. That's how
it always
I
goes
figured
like
it out.
this, and then it's like, oh, okay, this side's higher. So
Yeah,
I'm
change
adjusting
your
and
scale rate.
adjusting, and
Slide your
it's
scale rate all the way to the right. No, no down. Yeah, that one's. Oh, no, other way.
yeah, I was just playing with you.
Yeah.
So like this one's pretty good. My one in the garage, actually, you can see the plate has like a little bit of a bow like in the actual aluminum now. But like when this chart loads, it should load 0, 0, right?
Yeah,
Boop, right there.
I
But
agree.
when it does load, it loads to 255 0. Now, maybe I don't know, maybe there's a setting that like you can change like somewhere hidden to expose. I don't know if anybody has found this issue or thinks it's an issue. Is this by OCD, Ray? Am I just
Yeah,
being crazy?
a
You
little
are.
OCD. A
Yeah.
little OCD. but I
Uh,
do you know how much time I spent on this just to try to get mine as flat as possible. Like it's I
you should never go for flat as possible. Hold on, I'm going to click buttons until I find the one we were on, guys. Greg, help. Nope. Was it that one? Oh yeah, okay, it was that one. Now that everybody watching the video is seasick.
Yeah.
yeah. I've already Pierre was asking for some Clipper actual video videos, not just
Yeah.
live stream, and I've actually got some segments of it recorded and whatnot. So I got to go through. I've been distracted with the new bamboo. so it's sorry. But yeah, I'm doing some. I'm sure David will do some because we'll have our own personal spins on it on our experience of fighting with printer configs and
Yeah.
what our personal best practices are. I like to make sure that I have all the pins, even the ones I'm not using, commented in my printer config.
Mm.
So that if I need to use them, I've already got the pins kind of mapped out on what free ones are available with notes.
Yeah.
I also have segmented out, with some note headers and whatnot, that this is the probe section, and this is the, whatever. So just so that it's easily readable, and if 6 months from now I go back and I'm like, what did I do? I have some notes
There
in
is
there.
that.
Yeah. Right. Cause it's one of those things, like if once you get it kind of tweaked to the point where you're getting consistent, reliable prints, you're probably not going to go in and mess with a whole bunch of stuff. Just like on Marlin, right? If you have a firmware that's working, you're not going to just recompile a new firmware like we did because, there's a new version, we got to make a video or whatever, right? So unless there's a bug that's really affecting you, you're not going to go in and change stuff. So
Yeah. And we'd had before the actual stream started, we had an interesting conversation about like Clipper versus Marlin, just based off what hardware you need to run it on. And so the
not
comment
wanting
was
to
made,
pay more.
Yeah, I don't want, like, I already have a 32-bit controller. Why do I have to buy a Raspberry Pi and put it in line? And
I have Raspberry Pis on all of mine, so I can't really.
Yeah, like
I'm not a good one to
No.
be in that debate because I put Raspberry Pis on
and
everything.
so do I. But one thing I did mention is if you did have like a computer close to your printer already, you could plug that in and use it as like the Clipper host as well.
I'd hope you'd be dedicating it 100% to just doing that, because
That's the problem.
otherwise
Down or sleeps
multi-use or go to sleep or whatever is.
That's why they with Docker, right? Just to make it that much easier to make sure that machine is always on and talking. The ports would be, or the USB port would be fun to pass through the controller. But there are also solutions out there that come kind of with everything what you need. But if you've already like got like, so like I have SKR 1.3s and 1.4s and all this stuff, so it's like I don't want to go buy a new controller because that's just fine. I happen to have the Pies already, mysteriously.
I mean, if you're building new, obviously you're going to look and choose a board that probably has something like maybe
Mm-hmm.
a Manta or was it Kraken? Is the Kraken the new Big Tree Tech
The
one?
Kraken's a new one, yeah.
Yeah,
Kraken's
it
the
has two 5160s or something for the AB motors, I think, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the motors are like 2209s or 2224s or whatever the similar new one is, and then a lot of people are using the toolhead boards now, right? The
Mhm.
Big Tree Tech has their toolhead board. They have a few different versions of that board. The newest one has bigger connectors on it and whatnot, and an
Yeah.
RP has the Raspberry Pi uh, controller on it with a 2209 and
Mhm.
whatnot. So I think you guys have the one of the earlier versions in stock at your at Spool, right? Ray?
Of which one?
The tool headboard, the Big Tree Tech. It's got the smaller connectors, the gray connectors versus the black ones.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
the
And that board also includes the multi-axis chip to do the calibration on the
Mhm.
board on the tool head board, and then you just use a CAN bus cable. So it's two wires plus two power, and then a nylon to have basically a tether to go across, so you don't need the huge heavy cable
Mhm.
chain.
Mhm.
Whereas if you just did a standard stealth burner, you'd have like 25 cables or whatever it is, right? Because you have your end stops, your hot end, your thermistors, and everything that all have to go through this long cable chain back to the board. Nero did a whole thing about how he was having intermittent stuff because some of the wires broke in his cable chain. So
Mm. Mhm.
he switched out a tool headboard. So I think I don't know what Ray you've built a number of Voron or at least a Voron for yourself
Aurora. Yeah.
and whatnot. Would you say that the tool heads are now more the way to go than the original design?
Yeah. I always, when I built mine, I put the enraged rabbit tool headboard on mine
Okay.
right from the beginning. So I didn't have the experience of having to run 50 cables through a cable chain. Where
Yep.
the tool head that I have, your positive is a common one, your negative is a common one, and then you just have all your signals,
Yep.
which is way better.
So is it CAN? Is that so? Which board do you have in yours?
It's the Enraged Rabbit one. I can't remember the name of it. It was a year and a half ago I put it in there.
Okay.
So
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to the Big Tree Tech one, but
yeah,
different. Is it
yeah.
using and it's using CAN bus or
No, it's not even using CAN bus. No,
okay? They just have their own special.
it was before CAN bus.
Okay,
Mhm.
because yeah,
Yeah,
CAN bus it's basically two communication wires,
yeah.
and then two power wires. So it's so how many wires are running through yours then? Is
There's a positive and negative, and then one from each. One from the tool head, one from the end stop, one from the fan. That kind of stuff.
so like it may be eight
So
wires or
half.
something,
So basically half the amount of wires you would have.
right? So is it using a common negative then?
It is, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that would definitely save some of the wires because you're having the number of wires just there alone.
for sure.
Yeah.
I like
But
it.
but
Well, sorry, continue.
Derek's put the CAN bus on most of his Vorons at the
Mm.
shop, so he's quite familiar with the CAN bus setup.
We should see if he ever wants to come on and chat,
Yeah,
Mm.
maybe.
or if he
Or
just
he
likes to be
sleeps.
anonymous.
Hmm?
I'm anonymous. I'm gonna do this thing here. Hold on. Thank you to all the people. Two of them are here. Thank you for being here. And then Held's on the top there too. But thanks everybody for being patrons. You buy the software that makes this stream just work so good. Um but
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. We appreciate y'all.
And thanks to Dominic and Ray for joining us today. It's nice, always nice to have you guys.
Thank you
I'll
guys
have
for your time.
I'll have some new pictures up in the
Great.
Patreon.
Mm,
Oh
This
yeah,
week, too.
on the secret project.
Yeah.
Okay.
Super secret project.
Well, it is a super secret project because no one else is allowed to know about it. It's
Yeah, exactly.
inside. So,
Hush hush, very hush
Yeah.
hush.
but
But,
if anyone would want to see that, the only way you can see that is to be part of the Patreon.
Exactly.
So patreon.com/3D make it.
Maker. Hashtag not sponsored by Patreon. I'm just kidding. We kind of are. But yes, until next time, I think
Yeah.
we will bid you adieu.
Yeah. So we'll see you same time next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.